Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really eye-opening, honestly, kind of paradigm-shifting piece of writing. It's called Gating Opportunities, Ageism, and Lame Exclusion. And it was written by Oluyomi Oladavid. She is a brilliant Nigerian thinker and writer who is just profoundly passionate about global development, socioeconomic transformation, and, well, above all, people. She has this incredible knack for looking at the structures of our society, pinpointing exactly where we're leaving potential on the table, and then actually coming up with clear, actionable solutions to fix those gaps. In this work, she tackles a silent barrier that holds back individual potential and global progress. It's something that'll touch almost all of us eventually, yet we hardly ever talk about it with the systemic focus it actually deserves. Yep, we're talking about ageism. So, we're going to look closely at her arguments, break down her definitions, and really explore the visionary synergies she proposes for a totally inclusive future.
So Oluyomi Oladavid, she doesn't kick off her article with some dense, boring academic theory. Nope. She starts with a scenario that hits right at home. She asks directly, have you ever been excited reading a perfect fit opportunity needed to advance your career, just to find out to your utter dismay that you are simply not age eligible? I mean, put yourself in those shoes for a second. Imagine doing all the hard work. You've built up your skills, you're reading through a job description or maybe a grant application, and you're just checking every single box. Your experience, a perfect match. Your passion, exactly what they're looking for. You get that huge rush of excitement thinking, wow, this is it. This is my next step. And then, bam, right at the bottom of the page, hidden in the fine print, there's an arbitrary age cutoff. Just like that, all your excitement literally evaporates. You're disqualified. And not because you lack merit or skill or drive, but simply because of the year you were born. It is an absolutely crushing, intensely frustrating moment.
Okay, let's really dive into this because what she's highlighting here is that this specific, frustrating experience, it isn't just an unfortunate bureaucratic hurdle. If you've ever felt that sting of being arbitrarily rejected just based on your birth year, she notes that you've had a direct, one-to-one encounter with ageism. I love how she frames this. She takes this massive, abstract societal concept and brings it right down to the individual level. It's a real game changer of an introduction because it completely strips away the distance we usually keep from systemic issues. By calling it a one-to-one encounter, she forces us to realize that ageism isn't just some broad, faceless policy issue happening in the background. No, it is an active, everyday barrier that real people crash into, derailing their careers and dampening their ambitions in real time. So, having established what it feels like on a very personal level, she scales things up to formally define exactly what it is we're dealing with. Section 1, Defining the Problem, Ageism and Exclusion. Now, notice the very specific language she uses to define the problem. She defines ageism as conditions of exclusion of and discrimination against a particular age group. Look closely at that phrase. She doesn't just call it a prejudice. She explicitly calls it conditions of exclusion. That means ageism is literally baked right into the architecture of our institutions. It's the software algorithms automatically filtering out resumes based on graduation dates. It's those fellowship programs that strictly cap applicants at age 35. It's the active discrimination, sure, like someone looking at you and deciding you're too young or too old, but it's also the passive conditions, the invisible fences that gatekeep opportunities before you even get a chance to knock on the door. It is, quite simply, a structural shutting out of human potential. And the impact of those invisible fences goes way, way beyond just a missed paycheck or a lost job title. She really forces us to pause here and deeply consider the emotional and psychological toll of this exclusion. Her stance is absolutely unequivocal. No one should ever feel or be intentionally made to feel unable, damaged, or inappropriate for productive activity just because of their age. Those words, damaged and inappropriate, they carry so much weight. When society constantly tells a certain age group that their time has passed, or on the flip side, that their time hasn't come yet, people internalize that. It creates this awful feeling of being fundamentally broken or obsolete. She is fiercely advocating for the dignity of the individual here, pointing out that stripping away someone's right to contribute based on a random number is just profoundly damaging to the human spirit. But, and this is absolutely crucial, Oluyomi Oladavid is a completely solutions-oriented thinker. She doesn't just leave us wallowing in the despair of the problem. She totally flips the narrative, pivoting straight from the damage of exclusion to the incredible potential of inclusion. Section 2, The Power of Synergy, Combining Generational Strengths. And this brilliantly illustrates her core philosophy on generational dynamics. So often you see society and the media pitting generations against each other, right? It's boomers versus millennials, or older workers refusing to retire versus younger workers demanding immediate promotions. Well, she rejects that zero-sum game entirely. Instead, she maps out their distinct, highly complementary strengths. On one side, you have the aged. They bring the invaluable weight of experience in the huge benefit of hindsight. They've seen the cycles, they know exactly where the pitfalls are, and they hold that deep institutional memory. And then on the other side, you have the youth, bringing unparalleled vigor and resilience. They have the raw energy to push through obstacles and the flexibility to adapt to rapid changes. She sees these not as competing forces at all, but as two essential halves of a highly functional whole. It's like a giant puzzle fitting perfectly together.
And for her, as a thinker deeply concerned about global transformation, combining these traits isn't just a nice-to-have. As she explicitly states, nothing may beat the synergy of this experience and hindsight with youthful vigor and resilience in advancing socioeconomic progress. This is really where her background shines through. She isn't just saying, hey, we should be nice to people of all ages because it's the right thing to do, even though for sure it is. She is making a really hard-hitting economic and developmental argument. If we actually want our societies to progress, if we want robust economies and innovative solutions, we literally cannot afford to sideline either the wisdom of the old or the energy of the young. We need the friction, the collaboration, the whole shebang between both groups to truly move forward. So, if generational synergy is the engine of progress, how do we actually build that engine? Well, she takes this theoretical ideal and applies it directly to the very structures that run our lives.
Section 3. Taking action. Equal chances in governance. Let's move to and see how this builds, because she asserts that all governance systems and structures need a fundamental paradigm shift. She starts right at the micro level, households. The way families respect and integrate the voices of both elders and youth, that sets the entire cultural tone. From there, she scales it up to firms, the businesses and corporations where hiring algorithms and retirement policies strictly dictate career lifespans. Then, she scales up again to state institutions, the government bodies actually creating national laws. And finally, she takes it all the way up to global institutions like the UN and the World Economic Forum in Davos, which she actively tags in her work. Her point is super clear. Ageism isn't something that can be fixed in just one HR department. It requires a massive systemic overhaul at every single tier of human organization. So, the crucial point is her deeply optimistic belief in recovery. She argues that these governance systems must recognize a fundamental truth. Missed opportunities in time can be recovered with equal chances for all. I mean, what a fascinating perspective on time and equity, right? Yes, ageism has caused people to miss out on opportunities in the past. Time has definitely been lost. But she firmly believes that if we level the playing field right now, if we institute genuine, equal chances for everyone moving forward, regardless of age, we can actually reclaim that lost potential. It's a policy message completely anchored in hope. It tells organizations, hey, it is never too late to reform your structures and tap into that diverse generational talent you've been previously ignoring. And this perfectly brings us to the concluding vision of her article, where she aligns her personal insights with massive international movements. Section 4. A World for All Ages. The Global Campaign for Inclusion. She purposefully connects her ideas to the UN Decade of Healthy Aging, situating her own voice within this much larger global chorus demanding change. And she leaves her readers with this definitive, incredibly empowering rallying cry. We can all work to maintain a world for all ages. Yes, we can. Notice that collective we there. She is placing the responsibility right on all of us, individuals, households, firms, and global leaders alike. It's a powerful affirmation that the barriers of ageism, even though they are super deeply entrenched, are entirely man-made. And hey, because they are man-made, they can absolutely be dismantled by us too. Her unyielding belief in collective action and her relentless commitment to generating solutions just beautifully culminate in this simple yet profoundly powerful statement of possibility. And so, as we wrap up this explainer of Oluyomi Oladevid's vital work, we really have to turn the lens back to you. The structures she talked about, from everyday households all the way up to global institutions, they're made up of people just like you. So the ultimate question is, how will you challenge age exclusion and foster generational synergy in your own sphere? Whether that means advocating for inclusive hiring at your workplace, maybe mentoring someone a whole generation apart from you, or honestly, simply changing the way you speak about age in your own home. What is your next step to ensuring we actually build a world for all ages? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive today, and keep asking the right questions.